So I am playing King's Quest 6, moving along through my... I have like a weird halo. Moving along through my King's Quest series adventures.
Long ago, in the castle of a kingdom called Daventry,
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here. Alexander.
Cosima! Wait! Mother! Mother, come quick!
Alexander, what on earth? You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
In the mirror? The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
So I actually think the graphics to this opening are a step backwards. Just seem all pixelated. I love these birds, how they give them the illusion of movement, but they're not actually flapping their wings. Well, eventually they flap their wings, but for the most part they're just gliding. Great way to do things on a budget. So, King's Quest 6, often believed to be the best King's Quest game by many people out there. I think King's Quest 3 is better and the best. When this first came out, I actually hated it, because part of the things I loved about King's Quest was exploring the land. There was always a big land to explore. By putting things on island, where you can't get very far unless you like solve puzzles, it didn't give me a big area of land to explore. So the whole game was just frustrating for me and not fun to play the first time around.
Prince Alexander sailed
And so
the
I don't
known
remember the whole
seas and beyond.
I remember there are multiple paths in the series, so that's cool. And I'm going to do my best to go for the most complete
Land
ending.
ho! Land ho! Land ho!
As the ship nears the shore, day turns to night and the sea turns violent.
nice animated ending thing there, or beginning, intro, not ending. So it's worth saying I am playing this Steam 2016 collection version. I'm not actually playing the floppy disk version. So I have never played this. I have the floppy disk version, so I've never, it's like 9 floppy disks. I have never actually played it with voices. So I've never heard the voices in this game before. Already I can see there's a huge improvement in the voice quality than there was over King's Quest V. Significant leaps and bounds.
Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here. Then he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave, that was the last he'd seen of his crew. Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made.
So one cool thing, which was not in King's Quest V, is I can do text, speech, or both. I'm going to do both. That's the standard way I would play games today. Now something is glittering.
Alexander picks up his... Alexander's ring is made of the purest gold and has the insignia. The island is covered. The remains of Alexander's sailing ship lie dead. The remains of no one. The ship is ruined. Alexander pushes the plank to one side. Alexander's treasure box lies partially buried in the sand. Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruin. Alexander moves the plank. A box has... The box.
So I am playing it with ScumVM.
Alexander moves the plank back.
I did not know the treasure box was there, although I did know the ring was there.
Alexander is carrying a copper coin of Daventry. A hollow in the trunk of the old... Alexander There's a little hut just off the path. Perhaps the guard dogs have an occasional use for it. 2 guards take their stance in front of the... 2 guards. Alexander politely addresses the odd-looking guard.
Good day to you, guards. I was cast upon this island in a storm, and I'm a little confused about my location.
Hey, what is that you say? A castaway? A likely story. We haven't had any foreigners in this part.
Don't be so rude, Grub. You're standing on the Isle of the Crown, lad. And this is the Castle of the Crown.
The Isle of the Crown? But tell me, am I anywhere near the land of the Green Isles?
This is the land of the Green Isles. The Isle of the Crown.
Then Princess Cassima must...
Aye, the princess is indeed our treasured jewel to guard, and we consider it an honor.
Excuse me, guardsmen. Guard dogs. I've been trying...
I'm sorry, but the princess...
I really must...
Who are you that I should buy?
My name is Alexander.
A prince, is it? I see. Yeah, and I am lord of this dusty path. Step aside. You...
I assure you.
And I assure you...
Alexander decides to try his royal insignia ring on the guards. With all of his papers...
Perhaps this ring will convince you of my identity. It is the royal insignia ring of Daventry.
Ha! I'm sure. Just like...
Well, I'm sorry, Your Highness. It's just that princes are so uncommon in these parts. Let me get Captain Saladin.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain...
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazred will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please, follow me. Lord Alhazred, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince Alexander?
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, things have greatly changed for Cassima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle. Cassima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cassima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cassima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cassima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cassima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, it would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cassima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity to look around your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The kingdom is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you will respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate. Alexander has a feeling they won't be...
Please, if you'll...
Be gone! You're not welcome!
It won't do any good.
So one thing I want to say, something that's unique to the Windows version and not in the floppy disk DOS version I have, the portraits that are showing up look wonderful. That is kind of fast.
Vines have begun to climb the side of the castle as one... The side of the castle... The vines are too flimsy. Alexander is standing next to the side wall of a castle. Unlike the well-guarded... The wall is quite... The narrow path ends abruptly.
Good day, peddler.
Good day, sir. If you would like to...
Isn't it a rather bad business?
Well, there's always a chance that I'll find a genie. If I had a genie, I'd be richer than a king.
How fare you? How fare you?
And lad...
The peddler's pole provides convenient transportation of the lamp seller's wares. Alexander will have to deal with the lamp. Alexander is standing on a sunny village street. There are open shops. A large round pot is one of the...
Hello!
Alexander examines the large pot. It's currently empty. Alexander is not in the market for pot. The battered chest does not interest. Alexander isn't interested. The village buildings are made...
Old lamps!
The villagers... The woman seems preoccupied with her... A pair of red pants has been hung out... Alexander can't reach those pants. The
old lamp! Good day!
A strange-looking winged device occupies one corner of the room. It is frail with disuse. Alexander finds it intriguing. Perhaps he thinks it was once used in a local sporting event, in which enthusiasts jump. Alexander shudders at the thought. Towering mightily over the other pawn shop curiosities, the world-famous talking bear has been sulking ever since his abduction from a small mountain community in California. The pawn shop is a dimly lit. The back wall of the shop, a hull hole detector for finding those hard-to-spot holes in small sailboats.
This is a lot of jokes to previous King's Quest games. That was a King's Quest V reference.
Cat cookie mix. Play tricks on your friends,
King's
the
Quest
box
III
says.
reference.
A golden bridle finder
King's
for
Quest
finding
4
those nearly
reference.
invisible gold. Self-adhesive emeralds, what you use
King's
when you
Quest
don't have
5
honey.
reference.
Tongue climbing gear, tested on
King's
over
Quest
100
4
whale
reference.
tongues. A uvula tickler, guaranteed
King's
to make
Quest
large
4
mammals
reference.
sneeze. A cheese hook for retrieving cheese out of small
I
holes.
think a King's Quest 5 reference.
A shovel that's guaranteed not to break
King's
for over
Quest
100
4
grave
reference.
diggings. A bridge repair kit for when
King's
you've
Quest
crossed a
2
bridge one too
reference.
many times. Stair traction pads. Stop slipping
Any
off those
Sierra
narrow
game reference.
staircases. A hull hole detector.
And they loop.
An elegant little glass dish. The dish is full. Alexander takes a tall skeleton lens. The back wall of the shop holds a bottle labeled Owl Courage Potion for
King's
spineless
Quest 5
owls.
reference.
A bottle of Gnome Begone.
King's Quest 1 and 2 reference.
Miniature carpet cleaner for those castles in a bottle.
King's Quest 5 reference.
Bird's nest soup mix, treasure not included.
Possibly a reference to King's Quest 1.
Garlic, especially grown for vampire resilience.
King's Quest 2.
Magic mirror glass cleaner for when your future looks fuzzy.
King's Quest 3 reference, because when Alexander was kidnapped, the magic mirror went cloudy.
Shark repellent.
Any given King's Quest game with a place to swim. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if there's a shark problem in 4. I don't think you can go swimming in the water.
A small box of enchanted sorcerer's flea and tick collars.
Not actually sure what that's a reference to.
A bottle of Gnome Begone. Miniature carp. A small red drum beats no more. A few well-aged barrels. An old suit of the land of the green. A lady's hand mirror has been separated from its original trousseau, and now several half-burnt wax candles have been placed among the. A helmet, probably belonging to the headless armor, also in the shop. The pawn shop is a dimly lit. The pawn shop is. The pawn shop. The pawn. A small rusty hatchet seems permanently embedded in a log of wood. Alexander's mind races over the possibilities. Perhaps then again it could be just a
And that is a King's Quest 1 reference.
If Alexander wants anything, the pawn shop is.
Good day, merchant.
I can tell you she is in a dark time. Without the ferry, communication between the islands has ground. Why the long ages of peace have ended, and why the crown has not done something about it is beyond me. But then, I am a shopkeeper.
How bide you? How bide you?
Quite well.
How bide?
Quite well.
Alexander takes a.
I see you have noticed my mechanical nightingale. She is made of plain tin, but she sings the sweetest song you can imagine, barely distinguishable from. The flute is only made of plain wood, but. Ah, yes, the painter's brush. It was well used by one of the island's best painters. There's a lot of creativity in that brush. Have you an interest in tinder boxes? This one is only slightly battered. It holds a good supply of flint, a sturdy striking pad, and even a candle in case you find yourself with naught else to hold the flame.
I'm interested in that.
What do you desire to give me in trade? The items on the front counter are all of equally slight value, worth only a copper or two. They are handy items.
I have this copper coin.
Most interesting. I have never seen a Daventry coin before, but it is copper. The items on the front counter are the only things in the store that I can...
Alexander looks at.
See, this is like Makes me nervous because I don't know if I can swap these out later. I believe there's other ways to get money and get them, but I don't know what I need first. I can't go save.
That mechanical nightingale.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this...
I'll remember.
So presumably I can trade later.
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
There's a small table near the door that bears a sign. The sign has undergone a number of changes. Only one book. It looks like the bookshop owner. Alexander picks up...
Oh, yes, please, take that book.
Really?
Alexander is carrying... Alexander opens the bargain book.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of...
Phew, what an incredibly... There's a small... The table is... A collection of children. An old man occasionally steals...
Good day, sir.
The mysterious old man just ignores Alexander. Assorted travelogues and... These shelves hold a collection of oddly titled guidebooks. Alexander notices... These shelves hold a volumes of poetry are on display. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to lift thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face. Not bad. Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by world... Yikes! What was it when I looked at you? What power has changed? What nameless thing has captured me, and made me powerless to flee? What thing... The name of love cannot apply. Its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that ere my soul eternal makes for you. Alexander returns the love poem. Alexander is not interested. Alexander picked... It's the love poem he particularly...
I see that old volume has lost another page.
I do rather...
Alexander, thy hair, thy lips, and another... Upon the shore, Alexander returned. Alexander isn't interested in the cookbooks on that shelf. He's had an aversion to cooking ever since he experimented with his... Alexander is a little old. Alexander is a...
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger.
That is quite a question, young man.
My name is Alexander. I know I'm on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can...
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not that this island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. There are at least 3 other islands. The Isle of the Sacred...
At least 3?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. Legend speaks of a 4th island. An isle... Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even dark...
That's quite a...
Claim, yes. but probably just local.
Those first 3 islands you...
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores, and unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There, perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has lived, and if you haven't been there already, you...
Thank you kindly, merchant.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate...
How much for that book on the...
It is a fine book, is it not? I obtained it from the estate of the one and... I never found the spells all. I tell you what, if you can find another rare book...
How might...
As I say...
How might...
As...
How fair...
Sufficiently well, thank you.
There's a book entitled The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages on the small table in the reading area. It appears... Alexander feels his pocket. Alexander rests his... Alexander picks up and leaves... Well, that was... A plaque bearing a merchant crest hangs over the doorway. A small fire burns in the fireplace. There's a young girl in the yard. The girl is dressed in a long, plain orange robe with a thick headdress. From the appearance of her, the serving girl appears to be stealing a quiet moment. The girl is too far away. The entrance to the house is a time-worn wood...
I've told you 1,000,000 times. You've still got to do the breakfast dishes, make lunch, and get your veil back on.
Yes, stepmother.
Red roses beautifully... Alexander has not been...
I do not remember this board at all.
Palm trees, as graceful as gazelles, wave. A pot etched by the natural elements of... There are rose... Alexander doesn't want to intrude on private... There is no... Alexander can't see any... There is no... The windows of the stuck...
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
What? I notice his eyes are glowing.
Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt.
Good day. I'm Alex...
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm swimming. I mean, come join me. What are you waiting for?
Considering the poor condition of the shore, it looks like the easiest way... The powerful currents grab Alexander.
Not a bit... Sorry, I think...
As his head submerges for the third time, Alexander finds...
Tickets. Oh. Next.
Alexander couldn't handle those currents. That boy must be an unbelievable... A young boy... A worn wooden vessel has been dry docked on a jetty. The boat is in sad...
Come on, jump in!
Alexander can't...
What are you waiting for? I said...
That's strange. The young boy in the water just... A wooden door leads to... An old canvas bag full of sand hangs off the side of the boat. Alexander wouldn't know what to do. A worn wooden vessel has been dry docked on the battered old sail.
Yeah, what do you want?
Alexander promises himself that he will not go home.
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if...
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the...
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you. What is it you wanted to talk about?
There's a rabbit's foot on the table.
I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what...
So you said outside. What is it you...
Well, for one thing...
Huh. It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir...
But why are the islands...
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame.
Then this unrest...
A few years is all.
Perhaps if the ferry...
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even...
But there must be some...
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more.
Tell me more of...
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cosima themselves. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cosima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading...
What do you do now that the...
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations.
Is there no other boat on the island?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or what?
Tell me more about...
Ah, such a beautiful child, and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around. Always thinking about the people. They...
What else can you tell me?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you...
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately...
What else can you...
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see, if you ever get...
What else can you...
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty.
What else can you...
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world.
What else can you...
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good...
Alexander is sitting inside the ferry's cabin. The place displays the neatness of a seaman and the sparseness of a bachelor. There are... Alexander is sitting in a cabinet with a dry sink. There's a barrel near the... Several oil lamps. The ferryman... Several oil... There's a rabbit's foot on the table.
I see you have a rabbit.
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn...
Perhaps it will at that.
There's nothing on... The ferryman is a disgruntled-looking man who is probably a lot younger than...
What else can you...
The Isle of the Beast is pretty.
The cabin door...
Well, posh, not at all.
Good day.
Good day, sir.
The old man just...
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a map.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately...
What would you take for...
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun...
What would you take... Would you be interested in making a...
a rabbit's foot.
Alexander is carrying a book.
Would you be in...
I am afraid not. Books are more my neighbor's...
If Alexander wants to exchange one of...
Would you be willing to take my family...
Daventry.
No, that's my father.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring.
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back. And a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has some...
Thank you. You are very...
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
So I think we saw his eyes glint.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished from the pawn shop owner. He just abstained, just reprieved. He just got a magic map.
You fool! You've been eating those mints again. I ordered you to stop that.
Yes.
Now, what is this about a magic
with a map? Prince Alexander could travel any...
I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my... Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir.
How fair...
I could.
I do not know if it was good to buy the map with the ring. Oh. The merchant's gone.
A grand old...
Oh, A bird.
A nightingale perches on a high branch of the tree.
Hello, Nightingale.
The nightingale only looks at it. Alexander doesn't see. Alexander winds the mechanical. The mechanical nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously. The nightingale the nightingale looks at.
Hello, little nightingale.
The nightingale. Alexander has a love. Alexander holds out the poem to the nightingale. To Alexander's surprise, the nightingale flies off towards the castle with the poem. Where might she be taking? Alexander can see no reason to clamor about on the old. Alexander feels a strain. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong. There appears to be something etched. The rock has been etched by some unknown hand. One may need to read about the logic.
Huh.
Nothing happened. There appears to be no way past the cliffs. Though roughly hewn, the cliffs do not provide regular handholds for climbing, and they seem otherwise impassable.
So I assume you press in certain letters from the guidebook and you can climb up. I'll look that up later.
Alexander is carrying an colors of flame burst from the center. Alexander pulls. According to the magic, Alexander feels. One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look. In the oyster's mouth, a string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you?" Alexander wades into the sea to... The ocean currents tug at Alexander's legs. Alexander wouldn't want to... Using that on the...
Why aren't you asleep?
Oh!
What's wrong?
No offense.
What's wrong?
No.
The little oyster looks. Alexander does. Large craggy boulders lie on the beach as though pushed up from the sea by. Alexander.
"5 fierce guards of the isle we be. Watch for a foreign man," said he, "with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If mad it be, then mad it dies. Old Tom Troll, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well."
Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
"Tom Troll I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and sea. Listen, hark you, broken oar, do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more."
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
"A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No. Taste, Grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe."
Alexander holds the mint up.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet. Trilly dilly, use your hands. Is it be?
Alexander holds the rabbit foot.
"Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet."
Old Bill Batter, never fatter. Vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
I don't know if I have anything to trick the vision guy.
Alexander holds the item out.
My eyes cannot distracted be. A man, so say our eyes.
When did I last save it?
The gnomes toss Alexander too far out.
Tickets. Oh. Next.
Guess those gnomes could. Alexander. 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 Alexander feels a strain.
Why are... What's wrong? What's...
Alexander doesn't want... A string of... Alexander doesn't want to... Alexander... The ocean currents tug at Alexander's legs.
As I was going with the gnomes, it came in further, but I don't know if it's going to... Oh, there we go.
Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. Alexander decides to keep the odd sound. Alexander
I'll try to put the book in front of his eyes and see how that goes.
5 fierce guards. Old Tom Troll.
Alexander...
Tom Troll I am, that's all. Listen, hark you, bro.
Alexander whines.
A nose is not. Taste, Grump, that we might.
Alexander holds the
Grump, no. Trilly,
Alexander holds...
Be all you mad?
Old Bill.
Alexander holds the...
Nope.
My eyes cannot... A man.
Alexander holds...
A man.
Alexander Alexander feels... Nearby, the stump of a fallen tree. If the tree stump is hiding anything, it's only local. Alexander is standing at the edge of the sea. Tall, narrow tree. Tall... The dirt path starts... A rabbit hops about rather fearlessly. It's probably never even... The forest is dotted with... Alexander, not being an expert on Alexander. An old abandoned hunter's lamp is hanging on one of the trees. Tall, narrow trees abound. That would have no effect. Tall, narrow tree. The tall, narrow trees have sparse and relatively small. The denseness of the forest. The tall, narrow. Alexander decides and soon realizes a deep sympathy for soup.
Tickets. Oh. Next.
It looks like Alexander's. The water seems tranquil at the moment. Alexander feels a strong. There appears to be something. Nothing happened. There appears to be. Nothing happened. There appears. Huge blocks of stone erupt from the granite cliffs.
Whoa, that was just a guess.
Alexander stares with wonder. There's nothing of. The steps cannot be moved and. Alexander examined.
Soar. S-O-A-R. Finding it in the manual. I think that one. But is there something close? Oh no, that one's R.
Nothing happens. Alexander examines the
Hey, at
strange
least it didn't
etchings
kill.
in the face of the cliff. The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more
I'm sure we can walk off these.
Alexander examines the
Ooh. Oh, 4 men standing in a row, third from the left, and down you go. The rest in order move you on. Youngest, oldest, and second. Oldest, second son.
Nothing happened. Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff. Alexander gets the feeling... Oops!
Yeah, that's what I expected earlier.
Alexander Alexander gets the... Oops! Alexander... The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs.
See, the youngest was to the right, not to the left.
Alexander examined. Nothing happened. Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff.
Sacred 4. I'm sure it's in this manual somewhere. Okay, tranquility, the color azure, caterpillar, and the element air. It's tranquility. Ooh, O again. That represents the color azure. That is Q, which is the caterpillar.
The stone beneath Alexander's feet.
Okay, as a child, this could very well have taken me days, but I seem to be going through it well.
Alexander The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs.
So, in the manual, only those of the highest order may ascend the cliffs of logic. And ascend is in caps. And the first one, which I just guessed, was only those pure of heart will be able to rise the cliffs of logic.
The steps cannot. Alexander finds himself finally at the top.
Why do you make such an effort to climb the cliffs, young man? You could have it too, if you'd only eat a berry. See? The sweet berries will make you float like a...
But who are you?
Who cares? I mean...
How can this plant give...
Listen, son. I'll be happy to answer any question.
How can this...
Listen, son.
Huge doors are set into the solid... The huge... Somebody obviously wants to... A group of boulders are piled in a...
All right, then. Stay tied to the ground like...
How odd. The old woman just disappeared in a cloud of... Alexander. Blackberries grow only at the top of the bush, as though straining towards...
See, I wonder if I can pick some up without actually eating them.
Alexander decides to a bitter taste fills... As the poison takes effect, Alexander is... There's nothing to... There's a natural opening in the rock near... Alexander finds him. Alexander can't... Dead end. No.